Hello, dear ones. Greetings from All Saints Orthodox Church, Bloomington, Indiana. Father Peter John here. Christ is in our midst. I wanted to share a story today with you about Elisha, the man of God. It has to do with bread. There was a certain man who brought the first fruits of his crop to Elisha in the form of 20 loaves of barley bread, and he had a knapsack full of freshly ripened grains as well. And he brought them and offered them to the man of God. And the man of God told his servant, "Give this to the people." And so his servant was kind of shocked. He said, give it to the people? You want me to feed 100 men with 20 loaves and some grain? And he says, give it to the people. For the Lord said that they will all eat and they will have leftovers. And so I'm going to pause in the story and just tell you kind of, you think 20 loaves. We had some folks in our parish who've been baking sourdough lately. With the shutdown, they've become like professional sourdough bakers. It's amazing. And they brought over a loaf, and the loaf was, it was bigger than my chest. I mean, it was a big loaf. It was bigger than my Bible. We ate off that loaf for 3 days. Now, had there been 20 of those loaves, it wouldn't have been such a stretch to think that 100 men could eat off of those loaves. But that's not what these were. These little barley loaves were probably about the diameter of maybe a baseball, or if you think of maybe a hamburger bun or something, right? So he says, take these 20 loaves, 20 hamburger bun-sized loaves, and feed these 100 men. So again, a hamburger bun, you cut it in quarters basically, or it wouldn't even be that, it'd be in fifths. And when you think about it that way, that he's being told to feed 100 men with a fifth of a hamburger bun each and some sprouted grains, you can see why his servant's reaction was as it was. I'm going to feed 100 men with this? And of course, Elisha says, the Lord says, they're all going to eat and there's going to be leftovers. And that's exactly what happened. They all ate well, and there were leftovers. And of course, this brings to mind the miracles of Christ. We think of the feeding of the 5,000, where he has 5 loaves and 2 fish. And again, these in that story of the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, those were small loaves too, roughly the size of a hamburger bun, something like that. And so we think, though, of Christ. When Christ multiplied the loaves and the fish, he fed 5,000 men, not 100. And he didn't have 20 loaves, he had 5. 5 loaves, 2 fish. He multiplied them. He fed 5,000 men plus women and children, we're told, right? And then they had all of these baskets of leftovers. I think it was 7 baskets. So, with this miracle of Elisha feeding the 100, we see a prefigurement of Christ feeding the 5,000, although just the numbers, if you think about how extreme the numbers are with what Jesus did. Elisha was a great prophet. Those who were there listening to Jesus held Elijah and Elisha as great prophets, miracle workers, awesome followers of God, men of God. And then Jesus comes along and does something that is exponentially beyond what Elisha was doing in multiplying these loaves. And so it made the miracle of Christ, the multiplying of the loaves and the fish, it made that miracle all the more powerful, because they all had in their mind thinking back to Elisha multiplying the loaves. But Jesus did it with just flying colors. So, what's the point of the story? Well, it's another miracle of Elisha. It's another testament to show us that God is always looking out for us, that he loves us, that his desire is to provide for us and to protect us. His desire is that all men will be saved and come to the knowledge of the truth. And that is my prayer for each of you, that each of you will come closer to Christ through the hearing of this story, of this miracle of Elisha this evening. And that all of us will realize and recognize and embrace the fact that Christ is in our midst. He is and ever shall be. Amen.